Sirens wailed somewhere too close, their sound tearing through the night as Nia Carter burst out of the diner's back door, her shoes slipping on wet concrete. Her chest burned, her heart pounding so hard it felt like it might shatter her ribs. She didn't look back. She couldn't. Behind her, glass shattered, a gunshot cracked the air, and someone screamed her name. Nia. She ran anyway. Her fingers were shaking, slick with blood that wasn't hers, as she ducked into the alley and pressed herself against the wall, breath coming out in broken gasps. If she survived this, if she lived through the next few minutes, she swore she would never ignore her instincts again. She should never have opened that basement door. 3 days earlier, Nia's life had been painfully ordinary. She wiped down the counter for the third time, not because it was dirty, but because keeping her hands moving stopped her thoughts from spiraling. The diner was almost empty, just one man hunched over coffee and the hum of a flickering light above the grill. Night shifts always felt like this, too quiet, like the building was holding its breath. "Clock out when you're done," the owner said from his office without looking at her. "Yes, sir," Nia replied automatically. She hated how small her voice sounded here. At 23, she had learned how to disappear when necessary. Smile, nod, survive. That's what the world had taught her. As she reached for the mop bucket, a sound froze her in place. A dull thud, slow, heavy. She frowned. The diner had rats, sure, but this was different. It sounded deliberate. She leaned toward the floor, listening. Another thud, then something like a groan. Nia straightened quickly, her pulse picking up. "Hello," she called, hating how her voice echoed. No answer. She told herself it was nothing. Old pipes, her imagination. She grabbed her bag and headed toward the back hallway anyway, the sound nagging at her with every step. The basement door sat at the end of the corridor, half hidden behind stacked boxes. She had worked here 8 months and never seen it opened. The padlock on it was new, too new. Another sound came from behind it, this time unmistakably human. Her hand hovered over the knob. "Don't be stupid," she whispered to herself. But she turned it anyway. The door creaked open, and the smell hit her first, damp concrete, sweat, iron. The light flickered as she descended the stairs, each step sending fear crawling up her spine. Then she saw him. He was chained to a pipe, wrists raw and bruised, shirt soaked with blood. His head lifted slowly, dark eyes locking onto hers with a sharpness that made her breath hitch. "Don't scream," he said hoarsely. "Please." Nia stumbled back, heart slamming against her chest. "Oh my God." "If they hear you," he continued, struggling to stand, "they will kill you." Her legs felt like jelly. Who are you?" For a moment, he just studied her, like he was memorizing her face. "Someone you should never have found." She should have run. Every part of her screamed too, but something in his voice, fear mixed with exhaustion, kept her rooted. "They locked you down here?" she asked. "Yes." "Who?" His jaw tightened. "People are worse than me." She swallowed hard. "You're hurt." He let out a bitter laugh. "That's one word for it." Nia backed up a step. "I should call the police." He shook his head violently, chains rattling. "If you do, I will die, and so do you." Her stomach dropped. "That's not funny." "I'm not joking," he said, lowering his voice. "Listen to me carefully. You work here, yes?" She nodded, unable to speak. "Then you are already in danger." Her mind raced. "Why would they keep you here?" "Because I'm worth more alive than dead," he said quietly. "For now." She stared at him, fear battling with something else she didn't want to name. "What's your name?" He hesitated. "Joon-Seok." She took a shaky breath. "I'm Nia." "Nia," he repeated, like he was testing the sound. She noticed then how young he looked beneath the injuries, not much older than her. "I can bring you water," she said suddenly. His eyes widened. "You shouldn't come back." "But you'll die if I don't." He stared at her for a long moment. "Why would you help me?" She didn't have an answer. "Because I can't pretend I didn't see you." That night, Nia barely slept. Every creak of her apartment made her jump. She kept seeing his eyes in the dark. The next evening, she brought a bottle of water and a sandwich hidden in her bag. When she opened the basement door, his head snapped up. "You came back." "I said I would," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. He drank the water like it was oxygen. "You shouldn't trust me." "I don't," she said honestly, "but I trust myself." Over the next 2 days, she learned the truth in fragments. Joon-Seok Kang wasn't just anyone. He had once been a powerful figure in a Korean crime syndicate, betrayed when he tried to walk away. The diner owner had been paid to keep him hidden until a deal could be made. "They're selling me," he said flatly, "to my enemies." Nia's hands clenched. "That man, he smiles at customers." "That's how monsters survive," Joon-Seok replied. Despite herself, she started talking to him about her mother, about working 2 jobs, about wanting more than survival. "You're brave," he told her one night. She laughed bitterly. "I'm scared all the time." Bravery is being scared and choosing anyway. Something shifted between them then, something dangerous. On the 3rd night, Nia overheard the owner on the phone. "Tonight," he said. "Yeah, the girl won't be a problem." Her blood turned cold. She backed away silently and ran to the basement. "They're coming," she whispered, "and he said I won't be a problem." Joon-Seok's face hardened. "Then we have no more time." Her voice broke. "I don't know how to do this." He met her gaze. "You already are." Before the chaos truly began, Nia looked at him and said, "If we make it out." "If," he echoed. "If we do," she said softly, "promise me something." "What?" "Live." He nodded once. "Only if you do." If you're still with this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because what happens next changes everything. Nia's hands trembled as she locked the basement door behind her, her mind screaming louder than the sirens she knew were coming. Upstairs, the diner felt wrong, too quiet, like the air itself was waiting for violence. She wiped her palms on her apron and forced herself to walk, not run, back into the kitchen. Joon-Seok's words echoed in her head. "They will not let you live." She grabbed her phone, stared at the screen, then shoved it back into her pocket. Calling the police now could get him killed before they arrived, and if the owner suspected her, she'd never make it out alive. The back door creaked open. Nia froze. Heavy footsteps entered the diner, followed by low voices she didn't recognize. Men who didn't belong here, men who moved like predators. The owner laughed nervously. "Easy, easy. He's still downstairs, exactly where I said." Her stomach twisted. One of the men said something in Korean, sharp and angry. Joon-Seok's enemies, real ones. Nia forced herself to step forward, holding a tray she didn't need. One of the men noticed her immediately. "Who's she?" he asked. The owner didn't hesitate. "Just a waitress." The man's eyes dragged over Nia slowly. "She knows." "No," the owner said quickly. "She's stupid." Nia swallowed hard and lowered her gaze, playing small, invisible, harmless. The man nodded. "Good, stupid people don't talk." They headed toward the basement door. That was it. This was the moment everything broke. Nia's heart hammered as she slipped into the office instead, her hands moving on instinct. She yanked open drawers until she found the breaker panel. Her fingers hovered for half a second. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Then she slammed the switches down. The diner plunged into darkness. Shouts erupted instantly. A gunshot exploded, glass shattering somewhere near the counter. Nia ducked low, heart in her throat, and ran. She sprinted down the hallway, ignoring the pain in her legs, ignoring the fear choking her breath. She tore open the basement door and slammed it behind her. "Joon-Seok," she hissed. He was already pulling against the chains. "What did you do?" "There's no time," she said, rushing to him. "They're here." His eyes burned with urgency. "Then listen to me. The pipe hit it at the base." "I don't have anything." He grabbed a loose metal rod with his foot and kicked it toward her. "Use this." Her hands shook as she swung. Once, twice. The pipe cracked with a metallic scream. On the third hit, it snapped. Joon-Seok collapsed forward, breathing hard. "Keys," he said. "I don't have." Gunfire thundered above them. Nia spotted the owner's jacket hanging near the stairs. She ran, dug into the pocket, and felt metal. Got them. She unlocked the cuffs, just as footsteps pounded down the stairs. Joon-Seok stood, swaying but steady enough. "Stay behind me." "I'm not leaving you," she snapped. He looked at her, something raw and unspoken flashing in his eyes. "Then don't." The first man rounded the corner. Everything happened at once. Joon-Seok lunged, the man fired, Nia screamed, someone fell, blood splattered the concrete. Another man shouted in Korean. More shots. The basement was filled with smoke and chaos. Nia grabbed Joon-Seok's hand and pulled him toward the back exit she remembered from the building plans. Forgotten door behind old shelves. She shoved them aside, her muscles screaming. "There," she yelled. They burst into the alley, just as police sirens wailed in the distance. Joon-Seok stumbled. Nia caught him. "Don't you dare stop." He looked at her, breathing hard. "You should go." "No," she said fiercely. "Not after this." More men spilled out of the diner. One raised his gun. Nia didn't think. She grabbed a loose brick and threw it with everything she had. It struck his face. He went down. Sirens grew louder. Red and blue lights flashed at the end of the street. Joon-Seok squeezed her hand. "This is where we separate." Her chest tightened. "You promised." "And I will live," he said softly. "But if I stay with you, you won't." Tears burned her eyes. "I don't care." "I do," he replied. "More than you know." Police cars screeched to a halt. Officers poured out, guns raised. Joon-Seok stepped back into the shadows. "Thank you, Nia." "Wait," she whispered. "Will I ever see you again?" He hesitated, then said, "If fate is kind." Then he was gone. Nia dropped to her knees as hands grabbed her, voices shouting questions she couldn't process. She stared at the empty alley, her heart breaking and mending all at once. Days passed. The diner was shut down. The owner was arrested. Headlines called it a miracle survival. Nia gave her statement and packed her life into 2 bags. She left town with no plan, just the promise she made herself to stop surviving and start living. Months later, the cafe smelled like fresh coffee and hope. Nia wiped down the counter, sunlight spilling through the windows. This place was hers, every table, every breath. The door chimed. She looked up. He stood there, clean-shaven, dressed simply, eyes calm. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then he smiled. "You once saved my life." Nia laughed through tears. "You look different." "So do you," he said. "Happy." She walked around the counter and stood in front of him. "Are you free?" He nodded. "Because of you." She reached for his hand. "Stay." He squeezed back. "I never planned to leave." Fearless love doesn't ask if it's safe, only if it's worth it. If this story moved you, like this video, subscribe for more powerful stories and comment what you think happened after they reunited. Your support helps stories like this reach more people.
I
And
agree.
remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is open the door.